When we see Buddhist monks working for peace, we feel as if we want to blend into the serenity they possess. Have you ever wondered why, in the same situation, some people still feel peaceful while others remain in a state of anxiety and disturbance? Have you ever realized that the issue causing worry does not lie in how it is unfolding, but in how we are looking at that world and then interpreting it, choosing fear or peace and harmony? If the view in our thinking is distorted, then every choice afterward, even if we try hard or are in good conditions, still leads to mistakes or suffering, even repeating many times. But if perception is adjusted in the right direction according to truth, cause, and effect, the path ahead begins to open more gently and steadily. That is why Buddhist monks walk very firmly, even though the road they walk is full of difficulties, yet they do not falter. Hello, I am Teng from the meditation channel Lotuszentan 8 Hour. Please stay with me until the end of this video so that together we can explore the important step of seeing that very essential beginning in part 2 of right view in the Noble Eightfold Path, the foundation for correct understanding in the mindful and peaceful life. And if these reflections resonate with you, please gently subscribe to the channel, like, share, or leave a comment, so that we can continue accompanying each other on the journey back to the inner self, not only in this video, but also in the upcoming gatherings. First, we need to correct understanding that right view is not a distant philosophical concept, but a silent foundation that carries firm faith in very thought and action. It is the ability to see things as they are before the emotional self of personal habit intervenes in interpretation and often chooses the old familiar path. When lacking right view, we easily misjudge phenomena and make wrong decisions. We easily believe that temporary emotions, often led by our habits, are absolute truth and continue following those habits without knowing we misunderstand and decide incorrectly. We react hastily and then later ask ourselves why we keep repeating the same unsatisfactory results. The root does not lie in constantly changing chaotic circumstances, but in how we misunderstand and receive those circumstances. Nurturing right view often begins with something very simple, allowing the mind to return to observe our own body and mind through each ordinary breath. Inhale, gently follow the breath as it flows through your nose. Feel your chest and reach down to your belly. Exhale, feel the breath leaving through your nose, and notice your belly softening and sinking through each breath. Careful observation helps you focus on the changes of body and mind, according to each rhythm of the breath, allowing us to understand ourselves more. From there, step by step, we learn to look at the changes within our body and mind, without rushing to judge or draw hasty conclusions, even when external events strongly or persistently disturb us. When the light of understanding is lit, we realize that we often act according to our extreme thinking habits, vague emotions that suddenly appear and lead our actions gradually become clearer when we pay attention to them. When emotions arise, we are swept along by them, and many times we see ourselves acting excessive fear and subject to expectation even though the situation itself is normal and not important. To nurture right view, we need honest observation, turning practice into learning to see everything moving according to natural cause and effect unfolding within our own body and mind. We observe emotions arising and then subsiding to understand that our phenomena come and go according to impermanent birth and death. Right view grows when we dare to face the truth of our shortcomings, mistakes, our strengths, and acknowledge our limitations without self-blame, self-glorification, avoidance, or arrogance. Instead of trying to prove ourselves right, we practice listening to what is truly happening inside through each changing thought of the mind, at times arrogant and then shifting into inferiority and fear when external signs continuously impact and change. Each time we pause before speaking, truthfully make an honest assessment, and act well. It is a time when the seed of honest middleweight right view is silently watered, helping us see things clearly without emotional interference. Therefore, Buddhist monks walk for peace, practicing right view not from debating, winning, or losing, but from direct experience in daily life through each step. When clear seeing changes you, the world does not necessarily change, but the way we work becomes steadier and more confident and is no longer disturbed by various thoughts affecting our body and mind. And from the foundation of nurturing that honest habit of right view, the journey of recognizing subtle mistakes in perception unfolding within our body and mind truly begins. Because if we do not clearly see the mechanism of how the mind operates, we will continue to identify ourselves with each wave of emotions, sometimes very subtle, making it difficult to realize that it is guiding us. Therefore, in the next part, we will go deeper into common misunderstandings that cause suffering to repeat. We will look directly at anger, at the habit of clinging to what is unreal, and at the familiar personality self that seems very real but is blurring our clear judgment. In this part, we will slow down to look directly at the mechanisms that create our emotions which silently repeat, even under the warning intelligence that tells us to avoid them. The first mistake appears when we completely identify ourselves with the circumstances that generate strong rising emotions. When anger or an emotion arises, we often forget that we need to stay aware and tend to believe that we must be angry and allow that emotion to grow according to our habit. We cause anger or any emotions to flare up in a way imposed by ourselves. We vaguely react according to our habits, assuming that we need to respond strongly to solve everything. And according to habit, each time an emotion arises, we are swept along by it and continue stepping into the old path. That belief makes us rush to say or do something to regain the position we believe is the most correct. When criticized in public, we immediately react to protect the honor of our invisible ego. But we rarely ask whether that invisible ego of honor is a fixed entity or just an image constructed by the mind according to the social patterns set correctly, varying from place to place. We speak sharp and forceful words to prove we are right. Then a few hours later, feel regret after realizing it was only a temporary emotional reaction that was not correct. That shows we reacted according to previous survival instincts rather than according to the clear observation of right view. With just the absence of one mindful breath, emotion will control the whole mind to follow our passionate habits. Therefore, before reacting, give yourself one slow and conscious breath to clearly feel and understand your emotion right now in the present moment. Inhale, gently follow the breath as it flows through your nose. Feel your chest and reach down to your belly. Exhale, feel the breath leaving through your nose and notice your belly softening and sinking. Just 2 conscious breaths of right view are enough to create a slowdown between stimulus and habitual action. We will gain deeper insight to slow down the dependence on old emotional influences that distort perception. In that slowing space, if we realize that we are observing anger rather than being the anger or any emotion that is arising and controlling us, then that emotion will gradually diminish and disappear. If we stubbornly believe that emotion is truly who we are, we will be drawn into an old spiral and repeat the same old results. The second mistake is giving on power to external circumstances and considering ourselves helpless, swept away by conditions labeled by society or the majority. We often think that because others treat us badly, we suffer, or because the environment changes chaotically, we cannot be peaceful. When blaming and completely depending on the outside like that, it means our inner foundation is not yet stable and we unintentionally abandon the ability to adjust our perception or inner functioning in the opposite direction. A person lacking right view searches for causes outside, while a person with right view turns inward and finds peace and harmony from within while still adapting externally. Two people hear the same criticism but react completely differently. One becomes angry because the ego feels threatened and immediately seeks defensive and even negative ways, arguing and reacting impulsively, even using unskillful measures. A person with right view listens to see what needs adjustment and learning in an honest and constructive way, building a better direction guided by clear understanding. The difference does not lie in the external worlds, but in the way they are revealed with clarity from within, and from there come steady actions. The third subtle mistake of lacking right view is clinging to the ego with many overlapping layers. The ego has been silently built by subconscious through repeated actions and thought a past karma, making it difficult to recognize. There is a layer of ego attached to material things, to the feeling of possession and familiar comfort, always wanting to maintain its position in society and preserve what creates that sense of safety. When this layer dominates, what seems like clear perception may be slightly distorted, leading to hasty actions just to obtain or keep what we fear losing. There is a layer of ego related to emotion, silently longing for recognition and fearing abandonment. So even a small change in someone's attitude can cause inner disturbance. When chasing that need, we easily lose balance in perception and react more than necessary. There is a layer of ego rooted in views and belief, always wanting to be right and finding it difficult to accept a different perspective from what is familiar. Whenever one of these layers is touched, suffering flares up quickly and intensely, as if something essential within us is being threatened. Without right view, we protect the invisible ego we constructed as if protecting our life, because we identify with those structural forms without realizing it. With right view, we begin to see that the ego is only the combination of many changing conditions. The personality self can change when our habits or emotions change. We absorb thoughts and emotions arising and subsiding like small waves, realizing they are not our entire being. At times, we feel collapse in sadness, but at other times, confident and happy simply. Because we change our view and decide according to right view, gradually we are no longer swept too far by praise or blame, favorable or unfavorable conditions, because this is enough inner light to see what is happening in the mind and choose a wiser direction. Just a few mindful breaths can restore awareness, overcome a confused or weak state of mind, allowing right view to bring clarity and dissolve negative emotions clouding us. Inhale, gently follow the breath as it flows through your nose. Feel your chest and reach down to your belly. Exhale, feel the breath leaving through your nose and notice your belly softening and sinking. That pause allows us to choose a wiser response instead of repeating our habits nourished by fear and emotional attachment. If we persist in returning to the breath and quietly observing every small movement in body and mind, we gradually realize that the solution does not lie in forcing more effort, but in seeing more clearly to choose a wiser and more peaceful way. When perception changes even slightly, the way we live quietly shifts accordingly, without noise. Just a subtle adjustment in recognizing emotion and mastering it already changes inner awareness and brings better results. What we call ourselves is only the temporary combination of body memory and continuous changes following truth-dependent arises awareness. The self interacts with circumstances according to the rhythm of the external world in each moment. Thoughts, emotions, and sensations arise and dissolve like clouds drifting across the vast sky with each breath. Nurturing right view means we still participate in life, and fulfill our roles. But we live more fully aware and happy in each moment. We no longer completely identify with roles that are only temporary. We both live and experience events while continuously observing ourselves as the observer. Amid crowded streets, we can still maintain mindful and relaxed steps. Living without attachment does not mean indifference, but participating with awareness and clarity through right view. In busy daily life, we can cultivate the practice of right view through three very concrete and simple steps. When recognizing that we are receiving a strained emotion we cannot yet control, the first step is to pause with the breath before speaking or making an important decision. Slow breathing helps the nervous system relax and the body leave the stress response mode. Inhale gently, follow the breath as it flows through your nose. Feel your chest and reach down to your belly. Exhale, feel the breath leaving through your nose and notice your belly softening and sinking. The second step is to observe the emotion without rushing to label, judge, or choose sides. We ask ourselves whether we are reacting out of habit or truly seeing clearly, and whether we are being swept away by conflicting information and emotions. The third step is to choose actions based on understanding gained through observation with clear right view rather than based on the inertia of all emotional arising at that moment. We neither chase comfort to avoid discomfort nor force ourselves into extreme asceticism. The middle way is seeing clearly the external phenomena that trigger emotions and practicing awareness in walking, standing, lying down, and sitting every day. With right view, we return to verify truth in experience before believing and acting according to the most lucid understanding. Gradually, the small lesson each day reflects the level of honest clarity that is growing. And from that foundation, a deeper inner transformation naturally begins to unfold. One Piece and we being do not begin with changing the world, but with adjusting the way we see the world and adapting that adjustment approximately. Peace does not arise from controlling others, but from the ability to master our own reactions. When looking deeply, we see that every reaction lacking the mindfulness of right view contributes to nurturing inner unrest. A hasty word without clear observation can prolong misunderstanding and wrong action for many days and months. Subject interpretation can ignite a tense reaction that is unnecessary, prolonged, and spreading. On the contrary, one slow breath can calm and tense situations and soothe mistaken emotions. Inhale, gently follow the breath as it flows through your nose. Feel your chest and reach down to your belly. Exhale, feel the breath leaving through your nose and notice your belly softening and sinking. A compassionate perspective can open a path that argument can never react. Therefore, the path of peace does not lie in slogans, but in the awareness of each individual. That is how Buddhists work for peace without doing anything grand, yet still transmit a sense of clarity to others in this very moment. When right view is present, we clearly see the causes behind each small conflict. We understand that the person in front of us also carries fear and wounds inside, which gives rise to empathy. From that understanding, we reduce the need to win and increase the desire to understand, to show compassion, and to share empathy and love, making peace easier for everyone. We no longer try to prove ourselves right, but begin to seek what is right truth, peaceful and lucid right view for all sides involved. Right view help us recognize the hidden motives behind each word and decision so we can return to the direction peace. When we clearly see desire and pride guiding us, we have the opportunity to gently release our habits that once pulled us into mistake and suffering. With right view, when we see the fear behind rigidity, we can soften without becoming weak, because the mind remains steady with strength, with correct understanding. Honesty with ourselves becomes the foundation of latest peace for all. If today, among countless busyness, you can only do one thing, pause to take one deep breath before relying to the message or making an important decision. Ask yourself whether you are reacting from old habit or truly seeing clearly with peaceful clarity. A simple question can open a completely different direction for a familiar situation that is now handled more wisely. A step taken in right view with clear awareness is a gentle cutting off of the cycle of ignorance that has silently guided us for so long. Each fully recognized breath is a return to the steady and quiet foundation of right view that has never left within. When many people nurture right seeing through persistent practice, their surrounding environment naturally begins to transform in gentle and peaceful way. Families gradually become less tense when one person knows how to pause at the right moment instead of continuing the familiar battle of winning and losing. Workplaces also become lighter when someone chooses to listen calmly rather than react with criticism or harsh resistance. Society does not change through external imposition, but through the silent maturation of happiness and peace within the awareness of each individual. Therefore, the path of peace does not begin with grand slogans, but from the very ordinary inner life of each person. You do not need to wait for a perfect circumstance to return to practicing right view in your present life. Just one full moment of awareness can slow down the old unhealthy reactive cycle that operates almost automatically. Just as Buddhists must work for peace with the observation of right view, many people observe and practice accordingly. And when seeing gradually becomes clearer, each step in daily life becomes a relaxed and grounded step, as if returning to the honest and peaceful home within. Right view is where deep understanding within our body and mind and the world merge into a gentle flow, spacious enough for all beings, moving according to cause and effect and impermanence. The journey in the game, the breath, will become more and more fascinating if you truly cherish it. This practice, just like a habit, is a key to unlocking every doorway within your body and mind. So keep watching and keep practicing with me in this video and the ones to come. If you have any thoughts or reflections, feel free to leave a comment below. And if this video helped or inspired you, please click like, subscribe, and share it with others. Thank you.